Hello, everybody. Yes, it is Sunday, the 23rd of October, 2022. This is Ed Steed, your host for this beautiful show we have in store for you today. Kicking it with Brother Ed. You are in the right place, KWBE, man. We're going to have a good time today. If you ever thought about acting or the industry of theater and movies and all of that, you're in the right place. We're going to share some phenomenal things with you today because we have a phenomenal guest, and I'm going to let her talk to you about herself. Her name is Toni Whitlock. I've known her for many years. She's made it in Hollywood Hollywood and the neighborhood, as you're going to see. She's touched base and worked with some phenomenal people. We're going to talk about all of that. But without further ado, I just want to bring her up and let her talk to you on her own. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Toni Whitlock.
Hi.
Oh, the kids had to get in there too, huh? Okay, Toni Whitlock, how you doing today?
Oh, I am blessed. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm great. It's so good to see you today in the house. Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Okay, we want to make sure we got everything right. Listen, tell us about yourself. Your name, I said, as I introduced you, is Toni Whitlock. Tell us some of the things you did coming up. What was your life like? And what did you do? I know you've had several careers. I've known you, as I said, a long time. Talk about yourself.
Okay. Well, I was born in New York Presbyterian Hospital. I'm the oldest of three, and all of us were born there. And we were all raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn. My mother and father commuted for each pregnancy all the way to Manhattan because that was my grandmother's hospital, and she loved it.
All right.
so, and I spent a lot of my youth in the community church, St. Philip's Church. That was where, I worked, and that was my social life and my Sunday school. Growing up, it was very different at different periods of growing up in Bed-Stuy because at first it was an integrated neighborhood when I was very young. Then it became a Black middle class neighborhood. And
Mhm.
then people started leaving, businesses started leaving, a
Is
lot
that
of
right?
homeowners started leaving, and then you got absentee landlords. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I saw the
Sure.
transition. I saw it getting more dangerous, and I was kept close to home. And when I was older, I read about it and I realized it was redlining, the New Deal policy that disenfranchised minorities from home ownership by denying them loans and insurance and any sort of financing to
Wow.
a business or a home going. So it forced the neighborhood to decline and get more
Sure.
dangerous because when kids don't have legal opportunities, they find illegal opportunities.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Absolutely.
and then I realized that was being done to neighborhoods across the country. So that's sort of
Right.
bittersweet, that memory of how it systematically it was declined by the
Certainly.
government. But there are a lot of fond memories with friends and loved ones. And some of my friends have even moved back to
Is
Bed-Stuy.
that
And
right?
yeah, because they're such beautiful
Oh,
brownstones.
that must be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Brooklyn. I've been over there. I worked over there, and I love the architecture like nowhere else. So
beautiful. It was beautiful.
I'm
So
glad some of your folks got to come back. Go ahead.
yes. So when I grew up, I went in after college, I went into corporate taxation because I thought it was interesting and it looked like a good opportunity. But after several years in it, it became just a paycheck. It had lost its glamour. It was no longer exciting to learn something new. So I, um, I met this wonderful guy. He was in corporate legal, and we decided to get married. And before we moved to Montclair, where he's from, we decided to change careers. We both left corporate and became teachers, and that
Yeah,
was great for us because together we have 5 children. So it was a much better way to raise kids
sure.
when we had the schedules that accommodated them, and because corporate law and corporate tax gets crazy for me every quarter. You would never see me, you know,
The paychecks
because
were
it was
good
all
though, right?
crazy. Huh?
The paychecks were good, right?
Yes, but that's all it was. It wasn't feeding my
Right.
soul. But you know what's ironic? We loved it when we became teachers, but years later, 9/11 happened, and one of the planes crashed into the tax department I worked in for Marsh and McLennan in the World
I
Trade
did
Center.
not know that.
And I'm like, oh, there, but for the grace of God. And it was
Yes,
years after I left, but still, it was a wonderful company to work for. I would
of
have
course.
still been there. So
Wow.
that's ironic. But anyway, so we taught and we loved that. I taught elementary school, mostly third and fourth grade. And when we retired from teaching, I got a third um, career. I'm now in, TV, film, print, commercials, voiceover work. And it's also a passion of ours. So teaching was a passion that really fed my soul. But acting, now that we're retired and have the time to pursue it full time, is another passion. And the other thing I'm doing since I retired from education is I'm a Bible study leader. So a
Yes.
couple of days a week, I'm doing Bible study, and then I'm free to audition and work in the field as much as I like. So that's so nice. When you have a
Of course.
pension and social security, you don't have to like be stressed about how you're going to feed your family,
Right.
and you can just enjoy the fields. And that's what we're doing now.
And I have to say too, I've watched you guys over the years, and sometimes, and we're friends, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. But sometimes my wife and I are watching TV, and one of you guys pops up, especially you with those Burlington Coat Factory commercials. Like, hey, there's Tony. Yeah, and my granddaughter was talking to your husband recently, and she said, "Is that guy? He's famous." So, it's kind of cool. But I want you to talk about that. You came up, you did your thing, you started in corporate taxation, you became an actor. I'm sorry, a teacher, and then you transitioned into acting.
Yeah, I mean,
How
we
was
we
that?
all we always loved that field, but while we were supporting
Sure.
5 children, we couldn't really pursue it. But we would do, whatever we could during the summers when we were off or during vacation, because it was always a passion of ours, but it just wasn't our bread and butter job.
Right, right, right. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are doing well. You could do better if you were more into it. But I know you have a foundation that draws a lot of your attention. Am I right?
Uh,
A foundation in your life to your whole life. There's something you said to me recently regarding staying grounded.
Oh, sure. I was telling you that it's really important if you're going to go into this field in particular, it's really important to be grounded in something bigger than yourself because we're all kind of egocentric. I mean, just like
Absolutely.
kids, everything is me, me, me. Well, that's the way we all are, really. So when you have
That's true.
we just have more cover and filter, but it's still who we are. And when you have something bigger than yourself that grounds you, it helps you to build character and maturity. So if you become rich and famous, you have that grounding. It's going with you. But people that don't have that and they're only about success, it's like their character is here, but their success is going here. And they're out of balance. So that's when
Right.
you hear those horror stories about all these talented, gifted people, and they have these horrible ends because they just become
Sure.
insatiable. They just want more and more and more, and they're not grounded. So I think that's something that everybody needs, but
Yes.
particularly in this industry because there's so much glitter and so much temptation and so much really wild living that you can go
Absolutely.
into if you don't have a sense of who you are, why you're here, what you're here to accomplish. It's not just about, having more, more, more.
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I know you've rubbed elbows with a lot of famous people, and I know I hear all the time from folks who are working in that industry about the lifestyle things going on and the distractions, but you've managed to stay grounded, you and your husband, and to be able to teach Bible study. I'm sure has something to do with that focus, the priority of God in your life.
Yeah, that really is a blessing to me. We work with international organization, Bible Study Fellowship. So women and men all over the world are studying the same studies each school year, and we're, as I said, leaders. And it's so it's so rich in terms of the diversity of the people we're working with, and it's such a blessing to study the Word together and share ideas with them.
Sure.
So, yes, it really does help ground me, be staying in the Word.
And
Absolutely.
that's awesome, Tony. And thank you for sharing that. And I know that that's important to you. Now, tell the viewing audience some of the things that you would suggest to those who are thinking about or they actually aspire to enter this field of acting or some type of entertainment. Some of the things that you would suggest to such a person.
Okay. In addition to being grounded, you have to be willing to really study and work hard. A lot of people think it's just, oh, I'll show up and I'll be an actor. It's like
Right.
any field, you have to train, you have to study. So even if you're not, majoring it and going to a Juilliard or a drama program in a college, you have to be taking classes, you have to be working, you have to like join ensembles and do showcases, whatever gives you an opportunity to try out new things that you're learning in your classes and in your reading. And also, I suggest that you keep in contact with people. Like, you have to really, it's a really small industry. So when you work with people, it's really important to remember that you're going to see them again, and you want
Right.
to have a really good relationship where you want to talk to that person again. A lot of people just act, you know like they're on the set and they're all crazy about some famous person there, and they're not being authentic. They're not really spending time to interact with people on a very honest level and really cooperate and collaborate, like it's about the project, not about you or not about
Right.
that
Right.
superstar. And I think that sort of honesty about your approach to your work and the willingness to do the hard work is really important.
That's got to be very important. I hear you talking. Now, what I want to ask you is, in the process of doing all of these things, you're networking with people, like you said, you're taking classes and all of that. During that process, what should an individual interested in that, they say, hey, I'm networking, I'm working hard, I'm doing my best, putting my best foot forward and all of that. What should they expect from this industry as a result of all of these things?
Well, I it depends on how you look at it. Like, some people get very frustrated because, as people say, it's the business of rejection. Because
Right.
you're going to do so many auditions before you book, and that's just the way it is. But I don't look at it as I'm being rejected if I don't book a role. I look at it as though my work is to bring my A game to an audition, and that means I've been practicing, I've been taking classes, I've been working with other actors and doing projects with them, and I'm marketing myself, and I'm doing all those things. And when I audition, I'm bringing my A game. And if I bring my A game, whether I book it or not, I'm booking the room. And those people will see me at other auditions. So you really want to book the room. I remember we did a commercial right in our hometown in Montclair, and the one of the production people said, "I am so happy you booked this. I have seen you before, and I've always been rooting for you."
Wow.
You want to hear something like that. And
Absolutely.
so I didn't go into that audition saying, I'm probably not going to get this. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm putting my best foot forward. And if I do, then that was my work. My auditions are
Absolutely.
work, my callbacks are work as well. And I book, that's great because then I get paid to work. But I'm always working. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as though, oh, I've done this many auditions and I haven't booked anything. I don't look at it that way. I feel like it's a blessing for me to have the opportunity, and it's a blessing for me to show my best.
And you I mean, you guys have retired from one career, you're into this career, is great. Uh, Today you have something very special you're celebrating. We'll get to that. But I want to get back to something that you mentioned earlier about being authentic. I would like you to elaborate on that a little bit because I think people need to know what you meant by that.
Yeah, I think at the time we were talking about a lot of the celebrities that I've worked with, and I was saying I've never gotten a negative experience, no matter how A-list they may be. They've been down to earth, they've been generous, and I think part of that is what you bring to the table. If you're being authentic and honest and hardworking and collaborative, you get the same back. So I haven't had
Wow.
any of those negative, experiences, no matter how rich and famous the people I get to
Right.
work with are. And I think that's really important, to be, again,
Sure.
grounded so that you are
Yes.
authentic, because especially the big stars, they have to live defensively, you know.
Yeah, and you work with quite
They
a
have to
few of
live for
those.
different reasons, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
they recognize earnest authenticity. I was blessed to work with directors like Jonathan Demme and Baz Luhrmann, Spike Lee, Ben Harney, John Quiones, and I've gotten to act with people like DeWanda Wise and Michael Potts, Giancarlo Esposito, and Common and Regina,
Wow.
and they were all so precious, so sweet. And I don't know, I don't know what other people's experiences are, but I bring a calm energy, and I've received that back. And I'm very blessed by my experiences so far.
And Tony, it's clear that your authenticity is significant in these interactions with other people, no matter what their station in life. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would think that as a result of your authenticity, you're not intimidated when you go on the set.
Well, I look at it this way: we're all human beings, we're all God's children. And I approach people that way. Okay, once in my life I met Stevie Wonder. This was before I was acting, and I got to go to the after party, and he went to shake my hand. I said, "Could I hug you, Stevie?" And he did, and I shook the rest of the night. That's
I
not the
know.
kind of reaction you want to have when you go on set. You don't want to be a fangirl. But I was just overwhelmed, maybe because I was really young then. But other than that, I just look at them like another child of God. We're here to
That's
work,
awesome.
and
I
we're
love
here
that
about the
story.
project.
Yes. And I'm certain that the people you worked with appreciate your authenticity and your ability to even laugh, even at yourself. So I want to do two things if it's okay with you. And if I miss anything, just tell me. If there's something you need to talk about, you got a burning desire. This is your show. I'm showcasing you. But two things I
Okay.
want to ask you about is I have some photographs. I want to go through those. But before I do that, you're celebrating today that you're sharing with us something extremely special. If you don't mind, could you tell us what that is?
Today is my 70th birthday. I am officially a septuagenarian.
Wow. I can't pronounce that, so I won't repeat it, but I know what you mean. And you wear
So
it oh so well. God
thank
bless you.
you. God bless you. I appreciate.
70 years ago today, you were born
Yes.
in whatever that hospital was, your grandmother's hospital in Brooklyn,
Yes. New York Presbyterian. It's
New
still
York
our hospital.
Presbyterian. Wow. Wow. Well, I want to go through some of these photos, but while I'm going to be pulling those up, I want to ask you, what is it about this field that keeps you going back in spite of the periodic, and I know you're a seasoned veteran now, but there are periodic rejections you must experience. what would you say to somebody? Because starting out, I know you probably got maybe not you, but most people they get a lot of rejections. What would you say to them?
Well, like I said before, I consider auditions work. And if you don't get the job, it doesn't mean you didn't work and you didn't bring your best. And I think that
Gotcha.
is what keeps me from feeling rejected. Of course, you're disappointed if you didn't get a special role you really wanted, but you kind of audition and let it go and just let God, if it's for me, I'll get it. If it's not for me, I won't. And also, I
Amen.
noticed that very often it's not about the audition. Sometimes God's placed you there for another reason. You know,
Like what?
maybe you're supposed to bless someone else,
Ah,
with encouragement or with a word. And that
ah,
has happened. And like I remember one time, Guy and a bunch of male actors that he knows were at the same audition, and they ended up praying over someone that was in trauma, and he ended
is
up
that right?
accepting the Lord. And they were like, "Oh, so we thought we were here to get the job, but we were here to minister to that brother that needed
Woo, I
it."
love that.
So you never know. So I always
Right.
pray wherever I am, but especially on set, I pray that I'll be salt and light, because that's what we're called to be. You never know when someone's
Amen.
watching, and someone can be blessed by the way you act or what you say. So that's the way I look at it. Like, I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to be a blessing. To the extent that I'm in control, I'm going to be a blessing.
I love that, Tony, and I love that you guys, you and your husband, are willing to give of yourselves. And one of my favorite verses in the New Testament is when Jesus says, "It's far more blessed to give than to receive," and that's why you are so blessed.
I do believe that. And I also believe that we have these gifts and talents, and though we do work hard, but we were given it to share. Like a wonderful singer is not
Yes,
supposed to just sing in the shower. They're supposed to
right.
share their gift. So, whatever our gifts and talents are, we're called to share it and use it to bless others.
Amen.
So, I do believe that we're absolutely blessed to be a blessing.
I believe that as well. And thank you for sharing that. And I've been waiting to do this. If it's corny, then you just sue me, okay? Your auditioning should be based on a higher thing than what you may be wanting immediately if you're going to an audition. You got to be like Toni and Guy Whitlock and be willing to do what the Lord says. Whatever happens, even if you don't get the job, you are not going to run into a brick wall. I've been waiting to say that. Okay. So we're going to look at some photographs now, and we're going to see some. Let's look at this one. Tell me who this young lady is.
That was me when Guy and I met. That was my headshot. We were the Pine Valley black couple. And that was my headshot at that time.
I remember that. I forgot about that. I remember you guys were on, what was that? All My Children, right?
Yes. Yes.
I
And
remember that. Wow, that was a long time ago. We ain't
yes,
going to
that's
go there, but you already said you're a septo, whatever. Say again.
a septuagenarian.
I'll get it right by the time I get there, which is only a couple of years away. Speaking of which, how about this one?
Oh, that's from an AARP ad. They interviewed a lot of seniors and asked them if plastic surgery was available to them at no cost, would they be tempted? And I said, absolutely not, because every age brings something different. But I'm going to walk in my journey and not change it. I think I'm good enough the way I am at each juncture, and I don't need to fix what God did with me.
Wow.
you know?
That's a lesson for all of us, man. I got another one I want to show you. And I get tickled when your husband talks about this photo. How about that?
We spent a hot afternoon in the sun, and Common was so sweet. He was so generous and he was so kind, and he just made the afternoon go by because he was so
That's
much fun to
awesome.
work with.
That is awesome. And again, I think a lot of it has to do with, as you said, with the spirit that you bring to the interaction, the experience. You bring a good spirit there, and you're authentic.
I believe that.
I do too. I learned that from you, but I believe it as well. Here's another one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Regina King. I was so proud to tell her my maiden name was Toni Regina King.
Right. I forgot
And
about
I'm
that.
so proud. I told her I'm so proud of what you're doing with the name. You're really making me proud.
Amen. Amen.
That
That
was
is
from
so
7
awesome.
seconds. That was fun.
Now, what show was this again? Now,
7 seconds.
7 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
I saw that show, and I remember you were a jurist, if I recall.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
It was a
Very
very
good.
emotional journey, but it was really nice working with her.
Excellent. And here's another one, and I remember this as well.
Uh, that's from Spike Lee. She's got to have it. The after party. So there's Tanya in the background, his wife, and it was a fun time because we had wrapped for the season, and I was so disappointed. Tanya told me, "Yeah, it's going to take several months of editing before it's released." I was like, "Oh." But that's my, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They do so much to
Right.
make it the product that we enjoy.
Right. Yeah, I know there's a lot of work there, and I remember you telling me recently how much fun you had with this, and I'm like, fun? They were sending somebody to pick you up at like the 4 day in the morning, you know?
No, but this one, they picked me up around 4 in the morning to take me to Brooklyn to Spike Lee's place, and we left from there to go to Martha's Vineyard because we were going to be shooting in Oak Bluffs and teaching about the history of Black people settling in Martha's Vineyard. And that was the area that they had, was Oak Bluff.
That's very nice, but I'm glad you had the spirit that allowed you to get up with a cheerful attitude.
Are you kidding? I was looking forward to working with Spike Lee. Are you kidding?
Bless God. I'm so happy for you. I got one more I want to show because we only got a few minutes left. I actually have two more. This is one of your recent jobs that you did, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a print job from a commercial that I did for Mohegan Sun. It's in Connecticut. And that was also a vacation, just like Martha's Vineyard with Spike and Tanya. That was a week's vacation at Martha's Vineyard. And this was a few days at a beautiful resort. So God is so good,
Yes,
to
he
send
is.
assignments that bring joy while, you're working. It was so much fun.
That is awesome. And you do a lot of voiceover work now, right?
Yes, and what a blessing too, because during the pandemic, this home studio I'm in right now
Right.
has allowed us to work throughout the lockdown because now auditions are submitted from home and actual commercials and animations are done from home. We were hooked up with a director in California on one time and a producer maybe in New York, and we're here in New Jersey, and we're all communicating online and producing voiceover products. And what a
Yeah.
blessing that we
Now,
could
is that
work
a field that
from
you would
home.
say people should go in, should think about as well?
Well, now because of the lockdown, you're really needing to have a home studio. This is a walk-in
Is that
closet
right?
guy converted. But even if you have a little closet, you have to be able to have Source Connect and be able to audition from home and have a good enough quality, a quiet enough space to record commercials and animations. And from some people, audiobooks from home. Guy's done an audiobook. I haven't done audiobooks yet. So, how wonderful is that? You just get out of your bed, come into your studio, and earn money.
That's a great thing. You gave us a lot to think about, Tony. Man, we appreciate you coming on. We got like 20 seconds left. And in that 20 seconds, say whatever the Lord puts on your heart to say.
I just want to just reiterate that have something in your life greater than yourself so that you have something to order your steps because there'll be
Yeah.
a lot of things that are offered to you that you shouldn't be doing and you need to have a reference. And when I get auditions like that, I just tell my agent that's not my brand and they
Right.
catch on, you know
Good for you.
because that's what you have to do. I don't want to do anything I'm ashamed for my family to see, you know.
Right.
So I
And I
want
know there's a lot of that going on in that industry, right?
exactly to thine own self be true, and don't be afraid to say no if it's not something that's for you, because what's for you will be there for you. You don't
Amen.
have to sacrifice your standards, to get ahead in the business. Some people do
Amen
go
to
that
that.
route, but I don't think it ends well.
That is real talk. We appreciate you, Tony. We're actually out of time now. We are going to say farewell to everyone. Man, that was awesome. I hope you guys were listening because Sister Toni Whitlock here gave some great food for thought, particularly that whole thing about the authenticity and being grounded in the Lord. That's how you make it, man. I know people make it in other ways, but they also go down paths that they didn't plan on going down. So
Yeah,
we want to stick to what Sister Whitlock shared with us today. Be authentic, be grounded
yeah,
and rooted in what God has for you, and don't look at it as a mere audition. It's a mission. Did I say that
oh,
okay?
sure. Because God's going to use you in any situation. So just be ready for that,
Amen.
open to that.
Toni Whitlock, we love you. God bless you. And family, as we look forward to the next time, and we say so long to our sister Toni Whitlock. God bless you, Toni. I
God
want you
bless you.
guys to join us. Thank you. I want you guys to join us again on Sunday, November 13th. We have another fabulous guest. Also, I'm going to be bringing the word on Sunday, November 6th at Grace Baptist Church, as I do every first Sunday, which is at 811 King George's Road in Forge, New Jersey. So we look forward to hoping that each and every one of you can make it there. God bless you. I'm way out of time. I got to get out of here, but I'll see you next time. Be blessed and stay safe.